Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Reddit Aliens. I'm John, and as always, thank you so much for being here. Good topic today. Got me fired up, so let's see how you feel. What are some of the dark lessons that life teaches us? Please remember to like, share, tell us your own, and subscribe. Some of us waste our time not living the kind of life we want and make excuses for not doing so. Life is brief, and many of us will not make it to old age. I don't say this to scare you, but it is a fact of life. Whether we die 6 months or 60 years from now, what truly matters, live your life on your own terms and love those people who love you and accept you, unconditionally. At times, things can happen to us that will hold our emotions and minds hostage. When you find yourself there, it is more than okay to ask for help. However, you can, even if money is limited, and if you don't know how, reach out to me and I can help. Okay, help. One question helped me more than most to realize I needed to begin moving in a direction that would lead me out of this cycle. What would I do with my life if I wasn't afraid anymore? Sometimes life is just unfair, and we really have no control over that. I like to believe that the universe is real, and that there's some cosmic whatever happening in the background, but another side of the coin is that sometimes bad shit just happens and there's nothing beyond it. Many crimes are crimes of opportunity. That means many would not have occurred if the circumstances had been a little different. The lesson is to be aware of your surroundings, don't make wealth obvious, don't make it easy for thieves, those kind of things. That telling me it will be okay and not elaborating only makes me worse. That I am not built to take loneliness, and my clinginess comes from that. That I'm very good at hiding pain, but if I take too much you will know. That my heart will potentially never heal from the one devastating breakup. That despite no matter how hard I try, I will always be pulled back into a degrading mindset. That I'm mentally weak, and I will always be weak, no matter how much I build myself up. One hit from the right angle, and I'm down. That I'm just a husk of a person despite looking like I have a positive demeanor. Having a narcissist for a mother, an enabler for a father, and abuse, addiction, and dysfunction all around every aspect of your childhood makes life so much effing harder than it needs to be. You could spend decades trying to figure out all the things that went wrong and work on fixing them, only to still not feel like a real person in your mid-30s. Most people don't give a shit about you, true. Especially employers, true. They ask you to work hard and show loyalty to the company when times are hard, promise you a pay raise you never get, and then when you leave work early a few times on quiet days conveniently forget the unpaid overtime you did and fire your ass. Well, I agree with just about everything you said there. I think that most people are consumed by themselves, which is true. I think that employers look at you as an asset versus a commodity. And yeah, so well said. That being said, you're going to hear me grunt and groan a lot in the stories today. I'm sorry. I have feelings too. Good memories don't last forever. Not just because they can be forgotten, but because they can be ruined. They're actually way more fragile than you've ever told. All it takes is one small revelation, and one of your best memories can be spoiled forever. There's no point taking comfort in the idea of at least I can always look back on good times, because you can't. Someone can very easily take those good times from you, even long after they actually happened. 3 times in my life I've watched as money changed people who I thought were close and trusted friends. People will turn corrupt at the drop of a dime, figuratively and literally. In one instance, a friend of many years fell onto hard times and lashed out at everyone around him. In his case, he caused me $65,000 worth of damage and there was no recourse. He went to jail and I walked away empty-handed. In another case, a few trusted coworkers all stabbed me in the back to secure their own raises and promotions by turning a blind eye to incredibly unethical and illegal practices. I refuse to turn a blind eye. I'll have no sympathy when they reap the inevitable consequence of their actions. I've also seen the effect that inheritance can have on a family. People who you might think are inseparable become ravenous monsters when there's money at stake. It's truly disgusting. A family member tried pulling the same stunt on me for manipulative reason, and I told them to shove inheritance up their ass. I haven't had a penny handed to me in my entire life, and at this point, I consider it an achievement. I'll take it. Trigger warning, domestic violence. I couldn't fix him. There's your problem. I had the fix-it mindset with my ex, and it was most definitely a lesson learned. I had a crush on this boy when I was in the middle school. He moved away. I didn't see him for a long time. Years passed. He hits me up on Messenger. We start dating and immediately he's serious about it. He was known for leaving for basic training in like a week from that point. So he leaves for basic, and I wait 6 long months sending letters and love all throughout. When he comes back, sent back because he harmed someone very badly and violated rules, red flag, he was already acting sketch. I continued to be with him for 6 more months. During these 6 months, I might add, I was super close with his sister, probably more than him at this point. Anytime he would be upset with me, his emotional abuse, I would go to her, or when he would continue to put his hands on me and hurt me, she was my wingman. Getting to the dark lessons I learned, I tried to fix him, help him through everything, but he definitely took my love for granted. His anger was a huge problem I could not handle anymore because he reminded me of my father. I told him he needed anger management and he needed to start doing it. He agrees and says he's going after many times of begging. Well, to the last week I was with him. I'm out of state for vacation with family and I get a text from his sister. Hey, you know I love you, but X just came in my room and told me, if Ash asks, I'm at anger management. And that was enough for me to realize then and there, wow, he is willing to completely lie to me right now. He even ignores me for 3 hours saying he was at anger management. After he was done ignoring me, I called him, why are you lying to me? He swears up and down he didn't do this or that, but I stupidly said, your sister told me what you said. Ugh. He immediately hung up the phone. I call her because I know something was up. I start screen recording. He breaks down 2 doors to get to her and wraps his hands around her neck. It's definitely burned into my head. That was the biggest red flag, you think, I had ever seen in my life. The mental and physical abuse I endured and ignored. Then to see it happen to her was a big wake-up call. Not only did he mentally and physically abuse me, but cheated on me. Had a collection or gallery of his ex's nudes, which I made him delete for the girl's sake. After the 6 months of me waiting, this boy doesn't call me first, but his ex. And she told me how drunk he was, calling her, telling her he missed her. Not only were all of those red flags, he had a RAPE and murder kink. Come on. So needless to say, life showed me you cannot settle for someone who cannot love you and care for you with respect. Know your worth. God. TLDR. Crazy ex hurts his sister in a fit of rage because being caught lying. Life lesson learned. Don't settle for less than you deserve. All due respect. I know I'm a guy. I know this involves a very sensitive topic, so I'm not trying to sound insensitive when I was groaning and grunting, but girl, how many red flags do you need? Really? Come on. Come on. If it's not you, then your support network, they have to be like, no, I'm sorry, this went long, but oof, no. Major illness will cause you to lose most or all of your friends. No. They just ghost you because they can't deal with it or reminds them of their own mortality. No. It's worse if you're a teenager or a young adult. Getting sick at 17 is why I have no friends as a 32-year-old. High school friends dipped immediately. Didn't go to college long enough to form long friendships. Most of my peers in high school assumed I died. Apparently, my friends never corrected them. I had one friend who visited more than twice in 2 years. She's now a trauma nurse but lives across the country, so we haven't talked in years. Your own family gets tired of dealing with your illness even though you have it through no fault of your own. They pick fights at the hospital so they can leave in justified huff. At least my mom did. It's very isolating to be sick. You can't trust people, even those you love and claim to love you. They will betray you, stab you in the back, and badmouth you to your friends, who will then also abandon you because you were portrayed as a bad guy. Not even family is exempt from this. Human beings are shitty and do not deserve to exist. There are exceptions to every rule. Even your best friend will push your boundaries and treat you a little bit worse than you'd rather, unless you stand up for yourself. It can be microaggressions, like always offering unsolicited advice and criticisms, all the way up to public humiliation and direct insults. I've seen it all, and it can happen very gradually, even with that one special friend that you never thought would take advantage of your kindness. Currently going through this lesson, 18 female, got into a minor car accident. Both I and the other party had minor damage, no EMS called, and now I'm being sued for bodily injury. Just so happens my deposition falls on my 19th birthday this year. As a full-time employee and full-time college student, I'm struggling to fit a lawsuit into my schedule. I'm learning the lesson that people will always use the justice system as a way to get more money out of people, and that greed surrounds us constantly. To all, be wary of the greedy people that surround you and who have no care about the truth. You may be put into situations that are unnecessary. The United States justice system is a pain. I learned this in the first grade. School isn't rainbows and fun. It's what has you suffer for 12 years, excluding college. And that's when I had my first bully. Everything has changed. I'm stronger now than I ever was. I want revenge. Fear the light. Praise the dark. Ooh. People have two faces, can live two lives, and have their roles. When I was a kid, I had this basketball coach. He was like the empathic grandpa of the whole team. Every girl liked him. One day he suddenly quit and left town. We were heartbroken. A few years later, we found out why. The coach was married for 30 years. The whole time he was cheating on his wife with a younger woman. By younger, I mean in their 20s and 30s. Mind you, he was in his 60s. No idea what they saw in him. Anyway, this one time his mistress was a rich woman. She was rich thanks to her cancer-dying husband. The coach knew this very well. They had an affair the whole time. The husband of his mistress was dying alone in the hospital. When he died, the coach convinced his mistress to take his money and her children and leave the town with him. Nearly all life problems are caused by money. By being greedy, my grandfather has no contact with anyone in his family because he valued money more than his family members. You need to work nearly your whole life to survive, but the company you work in will fire you instantly if it can save them a penny. Although hopefully you have some labor laws that can protect you just a little bit. Whether you survive a serious illness or injury, it all depends on the resources available and the money that you have. If you trace down all problems in life to a point, it's always about money or what that money can or can't buy. Years ago, I had a very close friend of mine who I cared greatly for, who came from a very affluent family, say this sentence to me. She said, "If you can throw money at a problem, you don't have a problem." Saying that to a guy that doesn't have a lot of money kind of feels empty, but it's not wrong, so yeah. A public executioner's office specializing in major crimes for politicians, financiers, religious, and other above-the-law wannabes would be a huge help and the highest form of public service, and confiscating their wealth would pay for the office and rebalance the economy. Used to be military's job, till people gave control of their protection to the liars and government. Not bad. People often opt to believe what's more comforting versus reality. Very true. Example is that most people from universities truly believe torture doesn't work, and will cite studies and make convincing arguments why it doesn't work, yet the reality is it does work and is actually effective and cheap. Otherwise, criminals and other countries wouldn't use said methods. There's lots of other examples, and the way most think behavior works is flat out wrong, because you can't test said theories without consent, which already F's with results. That true horror expands and grows with people's wild imaginations. That's how you end up with parents who push sewing needles into their children's abdomen all the way through the skin and muscle, or religious fanatics decapitating the kid that they babysit and then waddling around town with the severed head. There's just something about all the worst stories that you hear that are fueled by the creativity of human minds, and it seemingly knows no bounds.